Regarding RMI,
Yeah.
do you remember the anniversary of RMI? I forget, just came up recently. You had a presentation on RMI,
Yes.
about the history of RMI.
Correct.
It was very enjoyable presentation. But
Oh, thank you.
in that presentation,
Yep.
you talked about initially when RMI was thought about.
Yes. Hmm.
There was a lot of discussion on what RMI should be, and like, but I forget that part of it. Like, but I remember it was how do I say it? The older members wanted it one way, and the new members maybe suggested newer technology or something like that. I forget that
Correct.
completely. I wonder if you could maybe remind me of what that was, or
Well, sure. So basically, when the club was first formed, this was back in 1988, and I forgot who mentioned it this morning. Somebody said we were really excited. I think it may have been Bob that said when we wanted to talk to hams locally, we went to 2 meters and 146.52 simplex, right? Then repeaters came along, and that kind of confused everybody, and people left the repeater, and that's what Bob was talking about. So when we were starting the club, there were 4 of us that sat around the kitchen table one day, and we said, well, now there's 4 of us on Manitoulin that are licensed. What should we do? And I said, well, let's start a club. I mean, 4 of us, we can initially start that. So they all said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we said, what's the first thing that we need to do? Well, I said, from what I understand from other clubs, and I'm just a newbie, you guys have been licensed for years, because there was Mike Smith, V3CHS. He was in his late 60s or early 70s at the time. I was only 20 some odd years of age. There was Oscar Yarnold, V3 YPL, I think was his call. And then Doug Becks, who was a retired high school electronics teacher. There are 3 of us on the island, and then myself, the young OPP guy, right? So, who didn't know anything, and it was these guys were my Elmers and helped me start. I said, well, as far as I know, I think a repeater. So old Oscar there, he said, well, he says, I've fought the government for years. He says, I'll get you the money. You get us a tower site, Al. So anyway, the next is history. I drove around and looked around for all the towers on Manitoulin. The CBC was relatively new. So I went on patrol in the black and white one day, and I pulled up to the tower. There was a car parked out front. So I thought, well, I'll go in. Of course, the tech at the tower, Ken Kinturi, he almost shit his pants because he thought he was in trouble for something, right? And I said, oh, no, I said, I just got my ham radio license, and I said, I'm always interested in, well, come on in, it's great, and he sat me down and showed me the transmitters, and he says, I've always thought about getting my ham license. And I said, well, we just started a club on the island. It would be a breeze. I'm sure you would be able to get your ham license because you're a technician, and you're working for CBC with these 1,000-watt transmitters and stuff. So he said, I said, I can get you the information I just wrote, 3 months ago. I can give you the procedure. So he said, okay. I said, we're thinking about putting a repeater together. Do you think we could do that? And he said, I don't see why not. He said, just a minute. So he picked up the telephone, called. He said, yeah, there's a club up here, man. Give them what they want. Anything they want? Sure. Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Put it up. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's the way things were done back in the 70s and 80s, And
yeah,
he said,
not today.
and he said, okay,
God.
well then, we'll get a repeater together, and you've got your tower site. So I went back to Oscar and I said, Oscar, I've got your tower site. He goes, well, you did what? I said, yeah, we can go up on the CBC tower, highest location on Manitoulin. And they'll provide the hydro and everything for us. And you're kidding. So
what a deal.
So anyway, he wrote I think it was New Horizons back then, New Horizons grants for seniors. Next day, he got us $10,000. Right. So that's how groups come together and work together and that. So we bought but we didn't know anything about repeaters. Like, that's why we bought a cheap Hamtronics repeater, went with a very simple duplex cans and filters, and we went with a Chris-Craft 4 dipole antenna
Yeah.
system that was like $150. We had $10,000 to spend, but I think the whole repeater system cost us maybe $22,000, if that. And it was at that time, it was a lot of money, but I didn't know how well it would work. It went up and it worked. But if we could get to Whitefish Falls or Espanola, we were doing good. If we could get to Jiking on one side, West Bay, or if we could get to Manitowoc, we all thought, oh, wow, because we were all running around with handhelds the size of a shoebox. And, oh, this is great. It's working really nice. So anyway, it wasn't until I met a gentleman by the name of Dwayne, a V3 NHP. Dwayne is still out there. He's still doing his technical stuff. John's a very good friend of his too, knows him quite well. And anyway, I got to know Dwayne in Sudbury. And Dwayne said, what the hell's this RMI? It sounds like crap. I said, well, thank you. I put it together. And anyway, he said, well, he says, you want to see how a repeater works? I said, yeah, sure. He said, okay. And that's when he looked after the tower on Willisville. Okay, the big tower that was there. Anyway, his company looked after all the data technology for banks and stuff that was going through there. So he was a technician himself, similar to John. So he got himself a Motorola repeater with a couple of Sinclair cavities, and there was a 210C4 commercial grade antenna on the top of that tower. So he put the repeater on there, 147390, and he put that on the air. And oh my God, you could walk anywhere in Sudbury, anywhere on Manitoulin, with a 1 watt handheld and talk to one another, clear as a bell. And he said, this is how a repeater should work. RMI, you needed 5 watts and stand on top of the fridge in your house to make it key it up. It was that decent. So he said, the first thing you do is get rid of that antenna and put 210C4, a commercial grade, on a commercial tower. And that, he said, that harnessing and everything, it had been up for 3 or 4 years, 5 years on that little Chris-Craft antenna, but the sensitivity was terrible and the repeater was crap. And anyway, not to make a long story. So I went to the club at the time, and Dwayne said, would you like a UHF repeater, RQQ? And I said, yeah, what's that? He said, well, you can have UHF, and then you have a 2-meter repeater. And that's when I got on the old OPP tower, because they were getting rid of that. So I went to the club and said, look, we've got a line on a UHF repeater. We can use the old OPP Heliax that's on there. He's got a line on an old set of duplexers we could put up. And Bill, BEK, is Bill still on? No, Bill left, I say. Bill managed to get me a 310C4 UHF antenna from Inco when he worked for Inco, because he did the radios over there. And anything was all, big Boro steel system. Well, I went to the founding fathers of the radio club, and they said, what the hell do you want to put another repeater up for? Like, what the hell are you trying to do? I don't have a UHF 440 radio. I've only got a straight 2-meter radio. I'm not going out and buying a UHF radio. Like, you're crazy. Like, what the hell would you want to do that? Who's going to talk on UHF? Who's going to be, a bother of it? And we've already got a repeater. What do you need two for? I said, well, it's an alternate frequency and it has the ability if somebody's talking on RMI. And then I said, there's new technology eventually going to come out. Maybe we want to link something. We have an ability. And I said, look at the magazines that are coming out. They're not making single band radios anymore. They're making dual band radios, 2 meter 440 radios. They're becoming the norm. You're crazy. Nobody's going to buy a dual band radio, none in their lifetime and that with it. So I got a lot of heat on it. And I said, well, you know what? It's not going to cost the club anything. All right. I'm not asking for anything. I'll find a tower site. I'll scrounge all the equipment together. Well, you do what you want to do, but we don't want to be bothered with another repeater. I said, okay, and then Dwayne and I will do it. And that's what Dwayne and I did. And we put it on the OPP tower, and it's been there ever since. It's the same repeater that Dwayne donated to me, and it's been running 20, 25 years, and it's RQQ. Now, since then, we've donated it to the club to be part of the club assets with it. But that's what happened. And then when I got to meet John through the ERA system, and that's a whole other story, John? That probably leave it for another Zoom morning. But I gave John a call. The ERA was starting. John had a series of linked repeaters, part of the Escarpment Repeater Association. So I called John up one day and I said, John, you don't know me. My name's Al. I'm up here on Manitoulin Island. And I think Manitoulin is part of the escarpment. If you look at the history and geography and of that, the Niagara Escarpment starts at Niagara, works up through Hamilton, up through Orangeville, up to the Bruce Peninsula, up through Owen Sound, Wyerton, Tobermory, and it cuts across. And I said, the big ridge that goes on the north side of Manitoulin is part of the escarpment. Is there any way I could join your organization and look at putting a repeater? I think I have a tower site, which was the old OPP site. And I said, maybe we could link on a terrestrial site to you. And John said, well, you're going to have to go through the initiating committee and that. And I said, well, what does that entail? Well, I think I had to feed half a dozen people and cut the throat of the goat and do some other things, right, John? Anyway, we had a barbecue, and I don't think I'm still a full-fledged member. I've still got to prove myself, but anyway, as a result of that,
Better get another barbecue going, bud.
John and Jim and unfortunately a couple of guys that passed away now came out. One was a climber, and Rick and great bunch of guys in the ERA group. And they're all technical inclined, right, in the technical field, which I really love because they were my mentors too. And I learned so much through John on repeaters and watching him put systems together and all of that. And he was a good friend. John was a good friend of Dr. Dave's because John came up the same weekend that Dave and Krista came up and donated the D-Star and got me on D-Star and configured the repeater and everything else like that. So there's a lot of history within the groups, but that's how you learn. And so I don't know if that answered your question, Ted, but that was some of the reluctance of going to something new because I'm happy with the way things are now and that. But what's kept the Manitoulin Club so proactive and why we get people from all over joining us is because we're willing to do something new. We're willing to step outside of the box and try something. If it doesn't work, fine. If it works, and hey, fantastic. And oh my God, you can do this, with the club. That's what gets me excited. And that's what, always looking at new procedures and new things on putting it. And that's why I got a hold of John and those group. And we tried the terrestrial links. We were connected to where was it? Goring or just south of Owen Sound there, John? Remember when we had the first terrestrial link on the GE repeater up here? Oh, maybe John stepped away. But anyway, it was, we had a Yagi pointed to down in Owen Sound, and the Yagi from Owen Sound pointed us, and that's how we linked on our first repeater. And once we were able to talk to the Bruce Peninsula, people up here thought, oh my God, this is fantastic. This is way before the internet and IRLP and all those systems, because the only way to link a repeater was repeater to repeater. And it worked phenomenally, except when the conditions went for a shit, you couldn't link, right? But when the conditions invert was up, we were linking quite nicely. And then it just expanded from there, and went to Asterix, and then went to the IRLP and all those systems. And the escarpment guys are on Asterix, and that's what their main system is right at the moment.
And ERA stands for escarpment radio. I'm not sure what the A is. No?
Yeah, escarpment
Escarpment
repeater.
Repeater Association.
Ah, okay, very good.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch, right? And when John's the main proprietor, you will hear, if you listen on 146.55 prior to the net, you'll hear John's voice is on all the wave files that connect. And we have various different systems. There's the URU system, okay, which is a repeater call sign that connects a bunch of repeaters that Dwayne, V3 NHP, and another gentleman, Chris, V3 BNI, and Chuck and that SD from Aurelia. They're part of the URU system, which has repeaters in Hamilton, Southern Ontario, across the GTA, up into LSR in Barrie, and all that area. And it joins the ERA system. So now you've got the URU, the ERA, and then there's the SORT system, the Southern Ontario Repeater Team. Is that the acronym for it?
Yeah,
John?
that's it. Yeah.
And they look after repeaters in southwestern Ontario, London and Chatham and Uxbridge, or not Uxbridge, but Ingersoll and those areas. So that network comes on board. And so what John does is he connects all these systems, and you should see the bubble charts on the Sunday nights, and all of a sudden, bang, a bubble pops up here and a bubble there and a bubble there. And all of a sudden now he's got 30, 40 repeaters connected across the province,
So
which is, yeah, go ahead.
when I'm in Mesa, which reflector would I be connecting to, Al, or is it just a repeater? But I think it would be a reflector though.
What you would try and do, if they have an Asterix node in Mesa, and get to know the repeater people down there, get to know the clubs, I'm almost positive, and we can look on the directory and see if there's one in Mesa, Arizona. I'm sure Asterix is becoming very, very popular. It's to ask whoever your system operator of that repeater and say, is there any chance that when I'm here for the winter that we could connect to hub 27 whatever hub,
Yeah,
hub it
because
is.
you did connected to around Vegas. There was a chap there. I think at the where he came on, and it says we were all surprised, you know. And I was just wondering what he was connected on, and I can't recall. And I think I made a note in one of my books here, and I can't find it. But
Well, that's a nice thing about the Asterix and IRLP and D-Star and System Fusion. Depending on what the club's flavor of the day is, you know, you're saying System Fusion is used
yes,
quite a bit by the.
but I want to turn that around. I want to get them interested in D-Star, and if they see that this part of the country is using mostly D-Star, I think that it won't take long that
Well, what you need to do is get your snowbirds together down there. If you've got other
Yep.
Canadians or groups down there that may be interested. But I mean, you got to go with whatever your group is looking at.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
in the ham club I'm in, I think there's 10 snowbirds, but there's other clubs there, and they've been talking simplex mostly at the time they have nets,
mhm,
and
mhm.
the snowbirds, and I think there's about 50. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so
Well,
that would be of an interest. I don't know if they all would do.
well, I'll show you something that's really neat. And thanks to John for doing this. So turn your radio to 146,550.
I got
Anybody
you.
that's there, if you've got your radio, to the asterisk note on Manitoulin, 146,550 with a 156.7 hertz
Okay,
tone.
146.
Yeah.
145, 147, 146 points. What is it?
You should see it. It's in your memories on your 5100. I
Yeah.
think it's channel 9 or something. It should say V3 RQQ
No.
SIM.
146. No sim. Yeah. Okay, it's RQQ sim.
Yeah, that's it.
146.55.
Yep, that's what you want. Now, is somebody transmitting on that right now?
There is somebody transmitting. I
I
don't
just
know who.
Kerchunk.
Oh, okay. All right. So what happens is you get your cell phone. Okay. And if you notice up in the corner, I have a little
Blurry something there. It's saying something. I don't know. It looks like a
Yeah.
little. I don't know.
Well, there we go.
Okay, it says IAX DVS switch. No.
DV switch.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you look up that. When you key that, what happens is
That DV switch. Is that an app that I download?
I'm sorry. Yes, it's an app off the asterisk. And what'll happen is you'll get this type of display. Now you have to put in the settings in it. Okay. And if you notice, you will see the node number 2359.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the little current node. Okay. And you see underneath it, there's a button that says connect.
Correct.
Okay. So now I'm going to push the connect button. Let me turn my volume up so that you can all hear it. It made a ring.
Yep.
Node 2359. Node VE3AJB connected to
VE3RQ2, Little Current, Ontario.
So now I go V3AJB in Manitoulin monitor. Sorry, V3AJB in Manitoulin monitoring the asterisk system, doing a test of V3AJB little current.
Picked you up. No problem.
So you're sitting in Mesa. There's John, just come back to me. He's in Southern Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much, John. You're loud and clear here on the application on Android here, sounding really good. The 3AJB little current clear testing. So you can be sitting in your trailer in Mesa, talking to us clear as a bell on RMI if we put it on RMI. You can join us for the roundtable. You can join us for our nets. You can do whatever.
Oh my good gracious. I gotta get that app. Jeez.
So, Al,
Yes.
you said that's only available for Androids?
Yes, it's not on iPhone right now.
That sucks. Hey, everybody that's got an iPhone.
Hey, gummit.
It's
I have a
because
radio.
it's because Apple, they don't want hams fooling around on their network systems and stuff like. But that's what hams can do
The
with
lucky
our
poor.
systems.
The lucky poor.
Al,
So
what's
you have
the
to
name
get
of
But if
that
you-
app again?
What's that?
What's the name of the app again?
The app, Lou, is called DV Switch. It would be DV Switch Mobile. If you
Okay.
go to the App Store and type that in. Now, give me a call because you have, when you do up your settings, you need a password and you need the information to put in that. It's not freely for everybody to do. So the average ham, if they're not connected to a node system, okay, and know the ways of getting into it, then you're not going to connect to it. So give me a shout later and I'll be happy to pass that information on to you and do
Okay,
that.
thanks, Al. Will do.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, on that
But-
note, I gotta get going.
Okay,
This is
well,
Dennis
thank
here.
you.
Hey, Dennis.
Okay, take care. Thanks a million. Was an awesome Zoom thing
Leave your,
this morning.
leave your set running. We'll be able to hear the fish in the pond or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I got to try that after Al finally disappears and gets worn out here.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, take care, Den. Are you heading out, Dennis? Yeah, okay. All right. Take care.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
Right on.
Catch you on the
Thanks.
net tomorrow or
All
whatever.
right. Thanks a million.
Okay, buddy. Take care. So anyway, yeah. So Claude, there's another possible way. Now, if there's a node down in Mesa and that, we can look that up and see. As a matter of fact, the international, where's Asterix? Asterix, DDD All-Star, where's the All-Star node map?
Because I just got information there. The park that I'm in, they're opening up.
Yeah,
And so she just called to let me know that if I want to make my reservations for the upcoming year, that I should
Oh,
maybe
wonderful.
do it. So I did that. And if she said if anything goes south, that my deposit would be transferred to the following year, or I would get a refund.
oh, well,
So,
that's nice
but-
for sure.
But everything seems to be more positive for.
Well, things are
opening up.
looking up, opening up and that. It's all going to hinge on what they decide with the borders, but maybe there'll be an exemption that you've got property down there. They'll let you across the border. I don't know.
I don't know.
What are we looking at here?
Okay, this is a map that shows the Asterix nodes across North America. So
There's
what
a-
we're going to do in southern Nevada
Arizona.
Arizona.
Right, yeah.
and that, there's 1,157 nodes down
Well,
there.
good Lord.
So let's go to Arizona. And now we're going to zoom in and we're looking at Mesa. You've
Mesa,
got-
yeah. There's 54 nodes there.
There, yes, sir.
Oh, crap.
27092.
Oh, my.
709.
You've already looked it up?
27092.
There's
2709.
yeah, Mesa right there. Bang. You got
Okay, so there's this one that would be
your
West
on
Main
Main.
Street.
Okay, that would be closer to me. That's where I am in Maine
Okay.
University. There you go. There's the node 29,600.
600.
Yeah.
The N7 OKN. It's on a frequency of 440.675 with a plus split of 5 megs. And it's a PL tone of 107.2.
Leave that there. I'm copying that right now.
Okay.
26,600. And that's the
That's one of them.
Photograph it.
and 7. Well, that's the closest one that would be to me.
That's where his trailer park is.
And okay, and frequency is 440.6. What is it?
675.
675 plus,
675 plus
and the tone would be
107.2.
107.2. There you go.
Now, next time we get together, I can program that in your 5100.
Yeah,
So
and
that if you take
yeah,
that
yeah, that would be the close. Oh, I'm trying to move my mouse around there. Okay, perfect.
Where was the one that you were looking at up here, possibly?
27092. I
No.
mean, there's
No.
about 3 or 4 of them.
I know. 20.
AE7 JVX.
Okay, here's one just south of you.
Yeah, I'm.
28592.
Okay.
Free scale Arizona hub.
I wonder what they-
KE7 JVX.
I wonder what they mean by that name, Freescale.
Not sure. You'd have to get.
Well, yeah, it
hold-
says it's a hub. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it has a radio.
That's
But
true.
the same guy has the 27092, which is on 440. He's got
Okay.
one on 900 on another node.
Okay.
Here's Chandler. Okay, Chandler's about 20 miles away, 25 miles away.
Yeah, and these are repeaters, so chances
Yeah.
are you'd be able to get into them from your trailer.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
And that'll connect direct to right here on Manitoulin.
Because just in that area, I was looking around in the Mesa area. There's like about 10 ham clubs, and some of them are they have like 150, 160 members.
Yeah.
Big clubs.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of people that can converge there in the winter time, right? So it's there, but that's just to show you. And if you look all over, like if you go traveling across
Now, my question is now, if I want to go on my radio and I would punch in, let's say 440.67 on that frequency, would I be able to pick up that repeater?
well, hopefully, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It'll come back to you like our repeater does and say, V3 RQQ Manitoulin node.
Okay. Which reflector would I be going to? Would it tell me?
No, this
Oh,
is
okay.
something that you.
Yeah,
need
you would have to connect to 27288, which is the one we have up here.
I would have to connect to there first before I would go to 447, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So what happens is,
I remember you writing down a sequence for me, Al,
yeah,
but I just have to look up where that sequence. I kept that in my files there.
okay. So this is the ERA hub right now that John maintains. It's node number 27288.
So I would have to connect to 27288.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm just going to write that down. No, 27288. Okay.
It's called the VA3 ERA Brantford, Ontario.
Yeah, VA3 ERA.
Oh, there's Yoda. Hi, Yoda. Oh, what a pretty Yoda. Oh, very nice. Oh, that's so nice. How do you get him, Frank? Oh my. All right.
He's a candle warm. He's a scent warmer
Oh my God.
from Sensi.
There
When I
you
saw
go.
it, I had the wife buy it for me
There you go.
because I'm a geek. I'm 100% geek.
So there's the node. And now, as you can see, these are the repeaters that are connected. And if you notice,
Yeah, it's 2395 RQQ. Yeah.
yeah. So
1465.
what would
yeah,
happen
okay.
is if you get to your repeater down there, you take your DTMF microphone, okay,
Yeah.
and
Punch
you
it in.
punch in *3 to connect. So *3 27288 on your microphone. And what'll happen is you will get a voice announcement coming back through the Mesa repeater saying, hello and welcome. You've connected to the V3 or the VA3 ERA hub in Ontario, Canada. Okay. Now what'll happen is that repeater at the bottom of the list will now be added to this list here. So it'll
Okay.
show that number in Mesa, the call sign.
Yep.
And the frequency 440.625 plus, and the CTSS tone of 107.5, and Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, well, there you go.
And anybody that says anything on any of these repeaters, well, then you will hear, and anything you say on your repeater will be crossed back to us.
Because I connected to the 27 to
Now
88
you're
node.
part of the network, and when the net
Okay.
goes on, or whatever the case is, then away you go.
Hmm.
Now, having said that, are we going to run the RMI net through the ERA hub? Probably not.
Okay.
Okay, the reason being is, do I want to tie up Hamilton, Oakville, Ballantree, Niagara Falls, London, Perry Sound, Oakville, and Hamilton,
Yep.
and Mesa, Arizona with the Manitoulin net?
Yep.
Okay, probably not. So,
So
what
I'd have
we
to disconnect then.
what will probably happen, and I'll talk to John on how we can set this up, is that when the net time comes on for the nets, okay, because we're already connected twice weekly from Manitoulin to the Procom net. We don't want to tie up repeaters across the province unless they want to do so. We had a problem, remember, John, with that guy out in BC that arbitrarily wanted to connect to all the systems across Canada without permission?
Oh,
from-
yeah.
Yeah, you know, so we don't want to go through that. So what I would do is disconnect our RMI from, or RMI will be separate. Okay, RQQ. Well, we'll see. We don't know how it's going to play out yet. If RQQ goes off the air, then we'll put RMI and that. But the thing is, this may not be connected all the time, because do we want the local traffic? Right now, these repeaters that they're connected to right now are relatively quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens is, if I'm driving south, I'll have John connect this in the URU and stuff, and we use it as a rag tube, which is really nice, because I can talk right from my door here in Little Current, right downtown Toronto or Niagara Falls, where I used to go to. So, I mean, this is really nice, and for things like that, occasionally, it's not an issue. But
But
the
it's yeah, you're not abusing the system, and it's
No,
not something that you would,
exactly. So
okay.
what would probably happen is we would run, or maybe look at establishing our own hub or just leave. The nice thing about Asterix is you can be an individual system and just have the other systems connect to you during net times, like a round
Yeah.
tables in the morning.
Well, that's
So
my
you
my
could
interest
get-
is being able to connect for the round table, and then the Thursday nets, and
Right. So
the,
we'll be independent, maybe
yeah.
have Espanola and Manitowoc connected most times, so that if you're in Manitowoc or you're in Espanola with a low powered handheld, you can get into RMI crystal clear. That's the beauty of having the node, right? So if you're shopping in Canadian Tire and you're aisle 57, you want to call, hey, Al, and use half a watt in Espanola, you'd be able to talk to me crystal clear, then rather than trying to send the signal from your handheld all the way back to RMI in Little Current. So
Yeah.
so these are the abilities of this system, and I think it would probably work a lot better than. And if it doesn't, we try it and everybody hates it, turn it off and go back to what we have now. I mean, we've got RQQ up there, 146.55, but everybody in the club's aware of it. And now we're starting to get more interest, especially with check-ins. And I know guys like Gary, TTO, and Ward, WGK, and that, they're loving hearing, they love calling Killarney District now, because now they're getting half a dozen check-ins from up here, which is wonderful, where they never heard anything for a long time. So it's, it's worked out really, really nice. So, take a look at the bubble maps on Sunday nights, starting at about 7:30 and watch those. And you'll hear on 146.52, you'll hear you'll hear somebody punching the thing. That's John. And all of a sudden,
System comes alive.
yeah, V3R ERA now connected to the sort system, blah, blah, blah. By your command, the Battlestar Galactica, he's got that wave filed on there. Sounds pretty cool. So, yeah. And it works
Great.
very, very well. Yeah. And all those systems are connected. And, nice thing about it, if there is an actual provincial emergency, the system is pre-established. And I'm able, when I do a demo to the municipalities that I talk to, and they turn to me and they say, Alan, why is your system so special? Like, why should we invest into the Manitoulin Club or the group? I then do a demo, okay, on Asterix or IRLP and show them, well, if the telephone systems go down, I can do, bang, and now connect it across the province. And finding out what other municipalities are doing. Where do we sign up, Al? That's amazing. Thank you.